All right, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we are going to do some watch stuff because everybody says we are doing more wheels than watches. So tonight we're going to do some watches. This is Gayle's acquisition and her birthday present this year. This is an Arnex French-made diver's watch, which you can see the bezel's missing off of it, with an absolutely most coolest font lume dial and handset you could ever possibly have on a diver's watch.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's just fantastic, and it's just beyond Coolsville. It's missing the bezel, and it's got some issues. You can see the crown's dinked, and what's inside of it is an ETA 2472, which most of these dials that you see, the movements are very cheap, crappy watches, but when you find one with an ETA in it, that's the way to go. ETAs are my favorite, and probably one of the nicest quality, inexpensive workhorse movements you could ever get. But what we're going to do is, I saw this watch for sale on eBay for quite a while, but it was missing the bezel. And funny, when we got the watch, it almost looks like it doesn't even matter that the bezel's missing. It kind of looks more military-like.
It does.
But we ended up finding another one, which this one, same exact watch. This one has its original crystal and a bezel that's not broken off. And just the back is pretty messed up. It's scratched up because this is a special tool required to take this off.
Right. And
it was engraved with Love Linda. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the nicest parts from both watches, from mine and Gayle's, and we're gonna make one nice watch out of it, and then leftover parts I'm going to make one out of it, and it's going to look like this, but it's going to have my dial and handset in it. Now we're looking at this lume on these hands, and it almost looks like it probably should be relumed. So we're going to end up reluming this, just the hands and possibly the lollipop, and then the movement, what's inside of it. This is the dial side. You can see the really cool roulette numbers.
Yeah, it looks
like
awesome.
Yeah, totally 60s. And then that's the movement. This is the movement that powers it, and then there's the other side of it. 25 joule, beats at like 18,000 beats per hour. So it's a slow runner. The 60-minute stopwatch, that's 18,000. So when you hear that speed, that's how fast the watch is running. Just magnificent little movements, my favorites.
Yeah.
I love ETAs. I've collected lots of them. They're like my favorite of all time. Most of what I own has ETAs in it. But that's what we're gonna do. We're going to take the best parts from all the watches, and we're gonna make one really cool one out of it, and then the leftovers I'm gonna have, and then maybe someday we can find a bezel for it.
Yeah.
And maybe not, but I was working on trying to find some pieces, like trying to find some other bezels and stuff to put on. Maybe I could, put a bezel on it that's somewhat could make the watch look back to a regular dress watch or a military watch, but I don't know. The bezels are really hard to find. And because believe it or not, in the 1960s, watches were not this massive. It's got I think it's a 29 millimeter dial. So trying to find anything this big back then was watches were kind of small at that point, but they were starting to get bigger. Where you look into like late 1960s, and then you go into like early 1970s or something like that. We'll have to do more watches instead of wheels. But this is a custom watch I built from parts and a new old stock dial, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's got a cool dial.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's not unbranded. Originally, this dial was branded Donax or Donax dial. It's a Donax watch, and the diver's watch it came in, it looks nothing like this. But finding a 25 millimeter dial for anything in the early 70s, as far as diver's watches are concerned, are really hard to find. Yeah. And finding this was in Germany I couldn't. It's just it screams 70s. It's so fantastic.
It is. It's so cool.
This is also an ETA powered one. We'll get into more of these. I collect these. We're going to do some really neat diver's watches, because most diver's watches conventionally look like this. It's the same style lugs You know, it's the same style.
Right.
Whereas that's like more of a square chunk case 70s.
Right.
It's more traditional looking, you know, diver's watch instead of this style, which is, these are called reference 511 cases. And these are 600 footers. These are 600 feet
Wow.
depth rating. And then these are, I think these are also 20 atmospheres, which is like 600 and some feet.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, back in the day, to have something like that, you know,
Yeah.
when you know, if you were gonna be anything professional with a watch that's capable of that kind of depth rating, the crystals are extra thick, the cases are much stronger. I mean, look at the size of the case back on it until you look at it. I mean, it's a heck of a thing.
Right.
It's so thick that pressure wouldn't be pushing this and collapsing it. But
Right.
there's the inside, Arnex Time Corporation, France. And I see some watchmaker marks in here. So the thing about when you're working on watches is kind of like working on cars. There's always some goon that was in there before you, who's probably passed away long ago because of how old this is. And anything you see where they made mistakes or there's problems, like working on cars,
Right.
you're gonna find hacking and screws stripped and chewed up stuff and scratches. It's such a darn shame because
It is.
you know, back when this watch was new, there was still a watchmaker at a jewelry store, which when the watchmakers disappeared, then what do you have? You have jewelers. And
Yes.
jewelers are not watchmakers, they're jewelers.
Right.
They don't do watchmaking, and that's where a lot of the watches in the vintage watches from the 70s, you know, a lot of watches got screwed up from
Right.
jewelers working on watches. They had no business being involved with those, yet a lot of the damage that I see in watches, you know, stuff with dials and things like that, when you look at a dial, I mean, that's a gloss dial. That's kind of what it looks like out of the case. Gayle's and mine are pretty close as far as condition's concerned, but it's gloss black. So, you know what I mean? You can't have any scratches on it. I mean, you can...
You'll see everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you clean a dial, you use Radico, but you're dabbing black. You're not really rubbing it, because like a black paint on a car, if you run a finger across it, you know what happens. It scratches. You run a dry, clean cloth over a black painted car and you got scratches. Gloss black dials are the same thing in watches.
Yeah.
And if you scratch it up and make a mess out of it, there's nothing you can do to fix it.
Right.
So tomorrow I'm going to start this project.
Awesome.
And yeah, we'll
Looking forward
I'll
to
show
it.
you how this process goes, and we'll snap some pictures and we'll show you the finished product when it's done. So here's
Cool.
some watch content.